The midnight carnival rolled into the quiet town of Ravenswood under the cover of darkness. Bright lights, the smell of popcorn, and the sound of carnival music filled the air, drawing the townspeople to the spectacle. Among them was Sarah, a young woman with a passion for adventure and a slight fear of clowns. Sarah's friends convinced her to join them for a night of fun. As they entered the carnival, they were greeted by a jovial clown named Chuckles. Despite his painted smile, there was something unsettling about him. Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that his eyes were watching her, even as he entertained the crowd with balloon animals and jokes. As the night progressed, Sarah's friends dared her to enter the carnival's infamous funhouse. Known for its twisting corridors and creepy decorations, the funhouse was a favorite attraction for thrill seekers. Reluctantly, Sarah agreed, hoping to conquer her fear. Inside, the funhouse was a maze of mirrors and dimly lit rooms. Distorted reflections and eerie laughter echoed through the halls. Sarah's heart pounded as she navigated the maze, her friends' laughter growing distant. Suddenly, she found herself alone in a room filled with life-size clown mannequins. Their lifeless eyes seemed to follow her every move. As she tried to find her way out, the lights flickered and she heard footsteps behind her. Turning around, she came face to face with Chuckles. His painted smile seemed more sinister up close, and his eyes glinted with malice. "Lost, are we?" he asked, his voice dripping with menace. Sarah's fear turned to panic as Chuckles moved closer. She tried to scream, but no sound came out. The room spun, and she felt a cold hand on her shoulder. Everything went black. Sarah woke up in a small, dark room. Her hands were bound, and the air was thick with the scent of old makeup and rubber. She realized she was in the clown's dressing room. Chuckles stood over her, his smile gone, replaced by a look of pure hatred. "You see, Sarah, I've been waiting for someone like you," he said, his voice cold. "Someone who thinks they can laugh at the clown and walk away." Sarah struggled against her bindings, but they were too tight. Chuckles picked up a sharp knife, twirling it in his hand. "Let's see if you're still laughing when this is over," he whispered. Hours passed as Chuckles tormented Sarah, carving symbols into her skin and forcing her to watch as he painted his face with her blood. The carnival outside continued, oblivious to the horrors within. In the early hours of the morning, Sarah's friends realized she was missing. They searched the funhouse and eventually found her in the dressing room, barely alive. Chuckles was gone, leaving behind a note. The show must go on. Sarah survived, but she was forever scarred by the experience. She never spoke of what happened in the funhouse, but the terror in her eyes told the story. The carnival left Ravenswood the next day, but the memory of Chuckles the clown haunted the town for years. The Midnight Carnival's Ferris wheel was a towering structure, its lights visible from miles away. It was the carnival's main attraction, drawing crowds eager to see the town from above. However, there was a dark legend surrounding the Ferris wheel. It was said that on certain nights, the spirits of those who had died in accidents on the ride would return to haunt it. Mark, a thrill seeker with a taste for the paranormal, was intrigued by the legend. He convinced his friends to join him on the Ferris wheel, determined to experience the supernatural firsthand. The group boarded the Ferris wheel just as the clock struck midnight. The ride operator, an old man with a weathered face, gave them a knowing look as he secured their seats. "Be careful up there," he warned. "The spirits don't take kindly to visitors." Mark laughed off the warning, but as the Ferris wheel began to turn, he couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. The higher they went, the more the air grew colder, and an eerie silence settled over them. From their vantage point, they could see the entire carnival, its lights twinkling below. But the beauty of the view was overshadowed by a growing sense of dread. As they reached the top, the Ferris wheel suddenly stopped. The group looked around in confusion, but the ride operator was nowhere to be seen. Panic set in as they realized they were stuck. Mark tried to call for help, but his phone had no signal. Then they heard it, a faint whispering carried by the wind. The whispers grew louder, forming words that sent chills down their spines. "Join us! Join us!" The temperature plummeted, and the air grew thick with fog. Mark looked down and saw ghostly figures climbing the Ferris wheel, their eyes hollow and their mouths twisted in silent screams. The spirits of those who had died on the ride had returned. One by one, the ghosts reached the group's seats, their cold hands grasping at their clothes and hair. Mark's friends screamed in terror, but their voices were drowned out by the ghostly wails. Mark felt a cold hand wrap around his throat, squeezing the life out of him. He struggled, but the spirit's grip was unyielding. As he gasped for breath, he saw the faces of the dead, their eyes filled with sorrow and rage. In a desperate bid to escape, Mark kicked at the ghost, his foot passing through its spectral form. The Ferris wheel jolted, and the ride began to move again. The spirits vanished, leaving behind an eerie silence. The Ferris wheel descended slowly, and the group stumbled off the ride, their faces pale and their bodies trembling. The old ride operator was waiting for them, his expression grim. "Did you see them?" he asked. Mark nodded, his voice barely a whisper. "We saw them." The operator sighed. "The spirits are restless. They seek revenge for their untimely deaths. You're lucky to be alive." The group left the carnival in a daze, their encounter with the supernatural leaving them forever changed. Mark never sought out the paranormal again, and the legend of the Ferris wheel grew, warning others of the dangers that lurked in the Midnight Carnival. The Midnight Carnival sideshow was a collection of oddities and curiosities that fascinated and repelled in equal measure. Among the performers was Madame Zara, a fortune teller with a reputation for her uncanny accuracy. But there was another darker attraction hidden away from the main stage: the sideshow specter. The sideshow specter was said to be the ghost of a performer who had died under mysterious circumstances. According to legend, the specter would appear to those who dared to seek it out, offering them a glimpse into their darkest fears. Emily, a curious and adventurous teenager, was drawn to the legend. She convinced her friends to explore the sideshow with her, determined to uncover the truth behind the specter. The sideshow was a maze of tents and stages, each filled with strange and unsettling sights. As they wandered deeper into the attraction, the air grew colder, and the sounds of laughter and music faded away. Emily spotted a small, dimly lit tent at the far end of the sideshow. A sign above the entrance read, "The Sideshow Specter. Dare to see your fate." Her friends hesitated, but Emily's curiosity drove her forward. Inside the tent, the air was thick with the scent of incense and old wood. A single candle flickered on a table, casting eerie shadows on the walls. As they approached, the candle went out, plunging the tent into darkness. A cold breeze swept through the tent, and the sound of soft footsteps echoed around them. Emily felt a chill run down her spine as a ghostly figure appeared before them. The specter was a tall, thin man with hollow eyes and a sorrowful expression. "Who seeks the truth?" the specter asked, his voice a whisper. Emily stepped forward, her voice trembling. "I do." The specter nodded and reached out a hand, his fingers cold and ethereal. "Then you shall see your fate." The tent filled with a blinding light, and Emily was transported to a different place. She found herself standing in a dark, foggy forest, surrounded by twisted trees and eerie shadows. The specter stood beside her, his eyes fixed on the darkness ahead. "Behold your darkest fears," he whispered. As he spoke, the shadows came to life, forming monstrous shapes that stalked toward her. Emily's heart raced as she recognized the shapes from her nightmares. The first was a grotesque figure with elongated limbs and hollow eyes, reminiscent of the creature that had haunted her dreams as a child. It moved silently, its presence suffocating. Emily tried to run, but her feet felt rooted to the ground. The specter watched, his expression unreadable. "Face your fear," he urged. With a tremendous effort, Emily forced herself to confront the creature. As she did, the figure dissolved into a wisp of smoke, leaving behind a sense of emptiness. But her relief was short-lived as more figures emerged from the shadows, each one more terrifying than the last. Emily realized that the specter was not showing her random nightmare, but the very fears that had plagued her throughout her life. Each monstrous shape represented a significant moment of terror and vulnerability. The specter's message became clear. To escape the nightmare, she had to confront and overcome each fear. As Emily faced each horror, she found herself growing stronger. The specter watched silently, a faint glimmer of approval in his hollow eyes. Finally, she stood before the last and most terrifying figure, a representation of her fear of death, a cloaked reaper with an icy gaze. With trembling hands, Emily reached out and touched the reaper. Instead of cold, she felt warmth spreading through her, melting away her fear. The reaper vanished and the fog lifted, revealing the tent once more. The specter nodded. "You have faced your fears and emerged stronger. Remember this courage." Emily and her friends exited the tent, their faces pale and their bodies trembling. The carnival seemed brighter and more cheerful, a stark contrast to the darkness they had just experienced. As they walked away, Emily felt a newfound sense of confidence and resilience. The legend of the sideshow specter grew, drawing more curious souls to the Midnight Carnival. Emily's story became a beacon of hope, reminding others that facing their fears could lead to newfound strength. Yet the specter remained, waiting for the next visitor, seeking to uncover the truths hidden within their darkest nightmares. The Midnight Carnival's ringmaster, a charismatic and enigmatic figure named Victor Blackwood, was the heart and soul of the carnival. With his top hat, cane, and captivating voice, he drew crowds with his spellbinding performances. However, there was a dark secret behind his charming facade. Years ago, Victor had made a pact with a mysterious entity to save the carnival from financial ruin. In exchange for eternal success, he promised the entity a soul every decade. The time for the next sacrifice was drawing near, and Victor's anxiety grew as he sought out his next victim. Liam, a journalist investigating the Midnight Carnival's secrets, arrived in town determined to uncover the truth. His research led him to the carnival, where he quickly became fascinated by Victor Blackwood. Unbeknownst to Liam, Victor had already chosen him as the next sacrifice. Victor welcomed Liam to the carnival, offering him an exclusive interview. Liam eagerly accepted, unaware of the danger he was walking into. As they spoke, Victor's charm and charisma masked his sinister intentions. Victor invited Liam to stay after hours for a special tour of the carnival. Intrigued, Liam agreed. As the night grew darker, the carnival grounds emptied, leaving only the two men. Victor led Liam to a hidden tent at the center of the carnival, its entrance marked with strange symbols. Inside, the tent was filled with occult artifacts and a large, ornate mirror. Victor began chanting in a language Liam didn't understand, and the air grew thick with an oppressive energy. The mirror shimmered, and a dark figure appeared within its depths. "Liam, you are the chosen one," Victor intoned. "Your soul will ensure the carnival's success for another decade." Liam tried to escape, but the tent's entrance vanished, trapping him inside. The dark figure stepped out of the mirror, its eyes glowing with malevolence. Liam fought against the entity's pull, his mind filled with images of terror and despair. As the figure approached, he remembered the stories he had heard about the carnival's dark past. Determined not to become another victim, Liam reached for a nearby artifact, a dagger engraved with runes. As the entity lunged at him, Liam plunged the dagger into its chest. The figure screamed, its form dissolving into shadows. Victor, shocked by the turn of events, tried to flee, but the mirror's dark energy ensnared him. The tent shook violently, and the mirror shattered, releasing a torrent of energy that engulfed Victor. His screams echoed through the carnival as he was pulled into the void. With Victor gone, the curse on the carnival was lifted. The oppressive energy dissipated, and the tent's entrance reappeared. Liam stumbled out, exhausted but victorious. He vowed to expose the truth about the Midnight Carnival and its dark history. The carnival, now free from Victor's curse, began to change. The performers, once bound by fear and dark magic, found a new sense of freedom and joy in their acts. The Midnight Carnival continued to draw crowds, but it was no longer a place of terror. Instead, it became a place of wonder and excitement, where visitors could experience the extraordinary without fear. Liam's story of the ringmaster's curse and his own battle for freedom captivated the public, ensuring that the Midnight Carnival's dark past was never forgotten. The carnival's transformation served as a reminder that even the darkest curses can be broken with courage and determination. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the terrifying tales of Midnight Carnival. If you enjoyed these stories, please like, comment, and subscribe for more spine-chilling content. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe.